On the Autocar show today, the sleek Mercedes C300 convertible, Audi's refreshed A3, getting down and dirty in a Porsche, news from Sherco TVS, and there's Autocar Confidential with Horma Sorabji.
I'm in Trieste, Italy to drive the all-new C-Class convertible. And when I say all-new, I mean all-new. There's never been a C-Class convertible before. Mercedes has already announced that this car will be coming to India towards the end of the year. And currently, it has no competition. Will that give it a bit of an advantage? Well, let's see. We have the car for the day, and hopefully, it won't start pouring down. Let's see what it's like. Mercedes says the new C-Class convertible visually exhibits an independence of character and a very sporty appeal. And truth be told, it's just about right. This car, apart from the nose, looks almost nothing like a C-Class. The snug roof makes it look purposeful, the flanks are tightly defined and sporty, and look at the car from the rear, and the rear splitter and those flared wheel arches give it plenty of individuality. The design in fact is so sporty, this car looks considerably shorter than the regular C-Class. But it isn't. The length and wheelbase in fact are the same. What's different however is that the roof is much lower and the boot at 285 litres is much smaller too. On the inside, it's very recognizable as a C-Class, but you do get a few special bits like this black lacquered center console and the special leather that doesn't really heat up in the sun. There's also the hood controls here, the electronic hood, and the new air cap system. A spoiler on top of the windscreen rises so that the airflow goes over even the rear seat passengers. Pretty smart. Merc has gone through a lot of effort to make sure your hair stays in place. Yes, active aero has been used before on supercars, but here we see a more practical use. And the best bit is there's no buffeting in the cabin, even when you drive a bit quick. The Merc's signature tough as a tank build may now be gone, probably forever, but the insanely high levels of fit, finish and quality still remain. This is still a cabin you want to endlessly touch and feel, and the deep pile seats on this car are so comfortable and supportive, you just seem to enjoy the sensation of being sat here. The C-Class Cabrio, however, is clearly a 2+2, and by that we mean the rear seats are less comfortable than those up front. Comfort in the back is pretty decent. You can sit here for around an hour or so. There's a good amount of leg room. The air cap system pushes the airflow over your head, but the backrest is a bit too vertical, and that limits how comfortable you can be and for how long. Setting off at regular speeds in the C-Class convertible seems vaguely familiar. You're sat a bit lower and someone seems to have blown the roof off, but the C-Class DNA otherwise is definitely here. Take off in a relaxed manner and the engine and gearbox allow you to purr along quite effortlessly. There's an attractive elasticity to the manner in which the engine and gearbox work together, and putting your foot down pretty much at any speed is met with enough enthusiasm to keep you entertained. The petrol engine that will come to India is a 300. It's a 2-litre turbocharged direct injection petrol unit, and combined with this 9-speed gearbox, it gives it just enough punch to keep it entertaining. So you flick down the gearbox, put your foot down, it pulls well around 6,200 RPM. You really can enjoy yourself quite a bit. This car, after all, does have 245 horsepower under the hood. And with a claimed 0 to 100 time of 6.4 seconds, it's pretty quick too. What's also reasonably entertaining is the handling. Now the C-Class convertible isn't really a sports car, but it does have enough agility so you can enjoy the road. So that when you put your foot down and you want to turn into those corners, it does have enough bite. This is especially true when you select the stiffest suspension setting. Now body control is fairly good and you can guide the car from corner to corner in a nice fluid manner, carrying plenty of speed. What's also nice is you can really lean on the brakes and scrub off speed when you need to. What lets the side down, however, is the steering. The steering isn't very feelsome or direct, but there's enough agility here to keep you entertained. And then there's the fact that lopping off the roof, however, does come with some penalties. Now the problem with most convertibles is that you get something called scuttle shake, where the body flexes. This is because there's no roof to hold the body firmly in place. And on this car, yes, there is a bit of scuttle shake, there is some amount of it. You do feel the flexing, especially over bad roads and when you're cornering the car hard. But overall, it really is much improved and much better than cars we had in the past, even cars 5 or 10 years ago. What's really well sorted, however, is the ride. I expected some amount of stiffness and expected the suspension to crash through a few potholes, but the C Cabrio just seemed to float over all manner of sections with the suppleness of an E-Class. Now a car like this has to have a comfortable ride, and Merc has done an absolutely stunning job here. The suspension is very absorbent, even over rough bits like this. The suspension works silently and it's really supple and nice, so you can drive over it without the being tossed around or jerked around too much. But I guess this is a Mercedes and it's only fitting that it rides like one. And yes, before you ask, the roads we were driving on in Italy and Slovenia had plenty of bad patches, some even as bad as those we have here. Something that adds to the luxury and comfort, especially on a cold day, is the air scarf system. It's a pretty cold day, it's around 14 degrees outside, and when you start moving faster, you really do get a chill. So what I'm using here is this thing called air scarf, where hot air is blown onto my neck from the back, so it keeps you warm like a scarf. So a little bit of comfort so you can keep the top open for longer. A nice touch. When Mercedes launched the new C-Class convertible in India, it'll bring a fun fact to the segment that wasn't there earlier. The car looks just gorgeous with the tapering lines and the flared rear. The soft top is one of the best in the business. It comes straight from the S-Class, so you know you're getting the best. The ride is pretty good, it's pretty comfortable. The C300 engine, the turbocharged petrol engine, it's got a decent amount of grunt, it's fun to drive. So all in all, it's a good package. The only fly in the ointment is likely to be the expected 65 lakh price tag. Yes, I know that's a lot of money. It's a big jump from the regular C-Class, but you also do get a lot of car for that money. This car really does feel a bit special.
Now the Audi A3 has been one of our most favorite premium compact cars, and for good reason. It offers great driving dynamics, good looks and a healthy dose of practicality as well. Now for 2016, Audi is introducing the facelift for the A3, and we're going to take them for a quick spin to find out what's changed.
The A3's overall shape has been maintained, but now the signature front grille is larger and more angular. Even the air dam now gets chunkier intakes and makes the car look sportier than before. It gets sharper new headlights, which are also offered with the company's revolutionary matrix LED lights. And let's not forget the dynamic turn indicators. At the back, you can see a sportier diffuser along with redesigned taillights. Already likable for its flattering proportions, this new A3 looks better than ever before.
The moment you get inside the new A3, you are treated to an interior that feels quite familiar. It retains its overall layout, but there are a few critical changes. Firstly, of course, is the steering wheel. Now, this car gets a flat bottom steering wheel. It feels and looks really sporty. I think it's a fantastic touch. The car already looks and feels sporty from the outside, and this just adds that extra bit of zing on the inside.
The steering wheel also gets paddle shifters for the S-tronic gearbox, something we sorely miss on the current Indian A3. Apart from that sporty steering, this new A3 gets the Audi virtual cockpit, which basically replaces your instrument cluster with a TFT display. The car's MMI system has also seen an upgrade in terms of its interface. And around the cabin, the turbine-like AC vents have had a slight redesign. Oh, and the rimless rear view mirror is a pretty neat touch. Apart from this, there are no other critical differences in the cabin, and it's still a pretty nice place to sit inside. For Europe, this facelift has been loaded with driver aids such as lane assist, adaptive cruise control, adaptive brakes, and traffic jam assist, amongst others. But from what we understand, these are unlikely to make it to India.
Now, since this is a facelift, there aren't any drastic mechanical changes in the A3, but what they've done for Europe is introduce two new motors. One is a 1 litre 3-cylinder petrol, which is good for about 115 horsepower, but of course that motor will not be brought to India. Apart from that, the 1.8 TFSI has been axed for Europe and is replaced by a 2 litre TFSI, which is good for 190 horsepower.
It's likely that India will get this 2.0 TFSI with its 7-speed dual clutch transmission in place of the current 1.8 petrol. This new motor maintains the delectable flat torque curve of the old petrol and brings much more oomph to the table. Apart from this TFSI unit, we guess that the 150 horsepower version of the 2 litre TDI will soldier on in India when this facelift arrives. But it would be a hoot if we also got its tuned up version that makes 184 horsepower.
When it comes to driving dynamics, this new A3 retains everything that we loved about the previous car. It's still a great handler, it rides pretty well, and with the choice of that new 2 litre petrol, it just takes the whole game up quite a lot.
The responsive motor and gearbox, together with the precise steering and predictive handling, make for a good to drive package, and not even the cold Berlin rain could do anything to dampen the fun of driving this new A3.
Now, when you look at all these changes individually, they might seem quite small. When you put them all together, they really make the A3 an even more attractive proposition than ever before. Now, how many of these changes will actually come to India and at what cost? Well, that remains to be seen. For that, I guess we'll have to wait till the end of the year to find out.
Big news here from TBS Racing. As you all know, for the last 2 years, they've had their presence at the toughest rally in the world, the Dakar, through the TBS Sherco Racing team. And in 2017, they are going to be fielding an Indian rider.
This is when, I should say about 1.5 years ago, when there was nothing much left in India to do. You know, all cross-country rallies are done, and all supercross forms are done, all motocross forms are done, and I was actually getting really good at rallies, the cross-country rallies also. So that's when it kind of kicked in, like, you know, I should probably try the bigger picture. The Dakar bike I haven't ridden yet. It's definitely going to be much better than what I've been riding here. Suspension is going to be upgraded, the power is going to be much better, and the bike is going to be a little more heavier because it has a lot more components than what we ride here. Like, it has 3 subsidiary tanks, it has that navigation tower and all that. And so that's the reason I'm going a little ahead of time to get used to the bike. The plan is to be in France, Germany, which is not really sure of which grounds are we going to be choosing to train, and because it's all depending on the availability of Juan Pedro. So wherever he is and whatever he says is what I'm going to do. And the training part, like I said, I would be doing the Rally of Morocco as well, which is like a stepping stone. That is where I will know what I need to work upon and what grounds I need to be working harder and where I have to ease off and what is lacking and what has to be done and all that. So that's the plan for now.
The Dakar 2017 is going to be super exciting because now we're going to have 2 Indian manufacturers participating there. Hero has already confirmed CS Santosh, and now we're going to have Aravind KP with the TBS Sherco Racing team. So Dakar 2017, can't wait for it to happen.
This is the kind of stuff Porsche is considered to be good at. All their cars are blisteringly fast on the road and grip on corners like they're glued to the tarmac. The 2 Porsche SUVs, the Cayenne and the Macan, are no exception. While they do justice to the Porsche name, do they do justice to their SUV tag? To find out, we are at an off-road experience organized by Porsche in the middle of Mumbai. We're going to start off in this gorgeous red Cayenne. So here we are. I'm in a Porsche Cayenne V6 diesel. We have a challenging off-road track in front of us, and we have Mr. Tejas Kothari from Off-Road Junkie. He's India's premier off-road expert, and he's going to take us through this entire track.
With the guys.
Big.
Acceleration from its 3-liter V6 engine is thumping. But now, it's time for the real test. This tiny little button with the words off-road on it is the key to transforming the Cayenne from a big family car to a mountain eater. It makes all kinds of changes, like raising the ground clearance and activating the limited slip differential. On steep ascents, the V6 just keeps pulling. Up we go, up we go! And as for descents, I'm gonna put on a hill descent control. And I've left the brake, the car's going down by itself.
Rumblers.
Rumblers. Okay, yeah, I can feel those. And on side inclines, a bunch of electronic wizardry comes into play to defy gravity and keep you clinging onto the ground. It's all just brilliant. Trench, this is a very deep trench. 7 feet, about?
Actually, it's around 10 feet.
10 feet, okay. Cayenne done, it's time for the Macan. Macan turbo, very powerful, and here I go. Whoa, proper. I think I touched like 70 kph right there. Now I didn't have much faith in the Macan. After all, it comes across as more sports car than off-roader, but you know, I have to say it's quite surprising, the off-roading powers of a Macan. I mean, it looks like a tiny, fast, racing pedigree SUV, but it's doing a proper job over here. This is where the limited slip differential plays its part. Now there are some caveats here. First, this was a simulation, and second, it's more than likely that the track was designed to match the capabilities of the cars. In any case, did we get down and dirty in a Porsche? Oh yes, we did.
Hello and welcome to Autocar Confidential. Now this week we have lots of news to share with you. Let's start with General Motors. Now General Motors has been struggling in India, and what we know is that they are planning to discontinue the Enjoy. the MPV that's really been used in the taxi market. It really hadn't made a big mark. So General Motors really thinks it's the end of the road for this vehicle, but that's not really the reason. The Enjoy is made out of GM's Halol plant, and we know that the Halol plant is to be disposed of. It might even be sold, but clearly that's not a home for the Enjoy, and that's the reason why it is going to be discontinued. GM, however, is looking to the future, and the next model really is the Trailblazer that's coming to India, the facelifted version of the Trailblazer. We already have the Trailblazer here, but what we are getting is an updated one. This one will come with GM's MyLink infotainment system. The earlier one didn't even have navigation, but this time GM is really going to be packing it with connectivity. Other feedback that GM got from owners is that the Trailblazer, well, people wanted better interiors, so the interiors have been spruced up and the bumpy ride has also been improved. Now we don't know exactly when the facelifted Trailblazer is expected, but we guess it's going to be sometime before Diwali. The other bit of news from the industry is that car manufacturers are looking more and more at touch screens. Now this seems to be the must-have feature. It's really a rage after it was introduced in the Renault Kwid. So customers feel that if a budget car like the Kwid has it, every car should have it. And it's putting pressure on cars which don't have it. So clearly we've even got Ford. Now Ford is looking at introducing a touchscreen sometime later in both the Figo and the Aspire. Both these models quite competent but haven't done well in the market. Datsun with the Redigo, they've really been caught napping because their sibling the Kwid has a touchscreen and it doesn't. So again, they are working on it. And of course there is the Maruti Alto 2, which in future will be coming with a touchscreen. So clearly a touchscreen, a must-have feature in even budget cars. But what remains to be seen is if the touchscreen gives a magic touch to the car sales of all these models. So that's the industry buzz I have for you. Thanks for watching.